Hello. Last week at the end I asked you to vote in a poll for which item you'd like me to work on this week. And overwhelmingly you said you'd like me to work on this. It's a Sony SL-HF100P. The P is important. Beta HiFi video recorder. But it's not any old video recorder, it's a professional duplicator that was used for making pre-recorded tapes. And I'd got it basically working, but we had a few issues. Let's get stuck in because I found something else to work on with this. So what are the faults on this machine? Well, we have a number, and I found another one. Okay, we have it'll play tapes okay-ish with hi-fi stereo sound and good picture, but the tracking has to be off-center. And that could either be the deck is out of alignment or the preset tracking control, if there is one, has drifted out. And that's a real thing. That does happen. Sanyo VTC 5000, 5150, they very often have off-center tracking, but it's only the preset tracking control. And I also had it on a Sony U-matic video recorder some time ago. So that's one possibility. Other things wrong. We've got bad segments in the VU meters, which is a very common problem on this, and I can replace the LEDs. The volume control is missing off the front of this, and additionally I found when I plugged headphones in that it's extremely quiet from the headphone socket. And when I was setting up this test we have here, which is color bars from here and tone generator, I've got 1 and 2 kilohertz tones being fed out from here into the machine, I found another fault. I found that the socket for the input of at least the left channel, and possibly both, is loose at the back. So where do I start? Well, actually I'm going to start by making a test recording. So that's why I set all this equipment up, and the reason is, if the tracking control is only out because the preset tracking is wrong, then when I make a recording and play it back, the tracking control will still have to be off-center at playback to get it to play properly. If, however, it's a deck misalignment fault, it will play back its own recording with the tracking centered. So this is one strange occasion where I actually want the tracking control to be wrong. Right, so I want 1 kilohertz on the left channel and 2 kilohertz on the right channel. The TV is only plugged into the left channel output because it's a mono TV. Let's do this recording and see what we get. So at the moment the tracking was off to the right there from when I was playing a tape last from another source. Let's rewind this bit of recording. It's hard to know really. The tracking is right, this is something Sony beta video recorders do. If you take the tracking too far over, especially to the left, it loses sync. Lots of Sony beta video recorders, perhaps all of them do that. So that's not a fault. In the center, we seem to be getting, well, good results apart from the fact it just rolled. And to the right, well, it's fine. It's tolerant, so it's a little hard to say if we have a fault or not. I'm going to plug headphones into this and see if I can hear any crackle, but I can't really share that with you because I can't easily hook up a way for you to hear it, especially since the output level on that's so low. So you'll have to take my word for it. Let me try some headphones on that. Well, I'm afraid the results are too inconclusive. I can't tell if the tracking is centered or off track. So inconclusive. The volume level's too low anyway. I can't hear any crackling. I can just about hear the two tones, 1 and 2 kilohertz tones. So I think the tracking is still very, very slightly off center, and I think it's a preset tracking control error by just a tiny amount. So that's one thing I want to look at then, is a preset tracking. don't know where it is, but we do have the service manual somewhere for the regular version of this machine, and the tracking control is likely to be similar. While we're looking underneath, we'll also see if we can see where the RF amplifier for the head is, because I've been given some hints about where that might be. And anyway, we've got to have a look at the audio input sockets at the back. So let's get to this bottom board and see what we can see. And of course, another trick I could do would be to take this tape out and try it in another machine downstairs and see if the tracking feels like it's on center. If it is, then that says that the deck alignment is probably correct on this. So I took this recording downstairs and tried it on another machine of the SLHF 100 and found what was extremely useful. For one thing, the tracking was perfectly centered. So I started it recording, moved it slightly to the right. It took a while before it lost good hi-fi sound and picture. Move it to the left, the same. In the middle, it was perfect. So that rules out, pretty much, any deck alignment problems with this machine. Our problems are just down to the tracking control itself. Something else I found was the headphone control was extremely crackly and on the other machine, and would very often give me almost no sound, which is what we have with this. So the headphone control potentiometer is the cause of the loss of sound, almost certainly. So we need to clean that up, and I still need to find a replacement control for it. But we still also need to fix the audio input sockets at the back, and now we need to look for the preset tracking control. Good, we know what we're doing. Okay, having taken the bottom panel off, there's a few things we can see. Firstly, there's loads of bodge wires. This even seems to include some bits of sticky tape. I mean, I know it's low volume, but Sony, come on. I'm a bit worried this might be some sort of bodge or afterthought that's not a Sony adjustment, this one. But these wires go to the remote control socket, so they most likely are, because remote control would have been something that was key to this, to have a wired remote control, so you can get all the machines to record and rewind and eject all at once. So and eject would be important, of course. That would be something that perhaps a domestic machine wouldn't have on a remote control socket. Looking now at the audio input socket, do you think that might be why it's not working very well? So that's the left audio input socket. Let's have a look at right. Get the microscope across to that. Yeah, that's every bit as bad. Yep. We need to resolder all those connections. And hopefully audio and video output and input will work reliably. Oh, I should show you, where is it? The video output connector soldering is actually even worse. It's an absolute miracle that works at all. And this one is the video output socket, and that one's terribly dry jointed as well. So it's not surprising we're having connection problems with this machine. Now, in the event we don't have to go looking for the RF envelope signals, but I'd still like to know where they are and if they're on this board. So if I can, I'm going to swing this board out. I think it swings out complete with the I/O connectors. So if I can have a look at this board. Oh, the screws are loose. It's been got at before. Let's just have a look at whether it has this IC, the CX20045, on this board somewhere. Well, I'm going to say I think I've found the RF envelope circuit here, not least because there are signals around here like DOC, the dropout compensator control, which is always closely associated with the head amplifier. The IC on the other side of that, though, is not a CX20045. It's 20043, which I'm assuming is a closely associated component. I'm not seeing any test signals for the RF signal, which is just unfortunate. You'd hope to see some pads or test points somewhere for setting up the RF envelope. Other things of note, there's all kinds of bodgery going on this board. There's all kinds of add-ons and bits that have been added because this is such a low volume product. You know, this is not a nice board. I don't want any problems with this board, so I'm going to put it back and not touch it. Oh yeah, look, you couldn't fit a delay line in there, so they had to sort of make it wonky. And yeah, this is not clearly not a high volume product, is it? It's not very pretty at all. Not up to Sony's normal standards. Oh, and this is the wire here, this cable here, which was going to the remote control socket at the back and comes out here to the front, and there's no end of more bodgery and components soldered on and bits of wire all over the place. This looks, you know, more like a prototype than a finished product. Let's put this back together before I break something, because this is nasty. I don't like this at all. Okay, so outstanding items. The tracking preset control, which should be on a servo board somewhere. The VU meters, I know how to do them, but it's time consuming. And the headphone socket. So let's start by taking the front panel off, which may already have screws missing. It may have been off before. I'm saying it will have been off before because that'll be why the headphone socket's missing. And the screws are loose. For the headphone control, ideally I'd like to replace the actual potentiometer, but of course we won't get one, I don't think. I'll give that a bit of deoxit and see if that helps. It's all a matter of whether any of that actually got in. Right, we'll leave that for a moment and we'll work on the VU meters next. Now, I did a whole video about this, didn't I, recently? And I decided to leave the VU meter module in place on the front of the machine because it's convenient for testing it, rather than take it off and have to set up supply and signals for it. There we go. So what we have to do is cut these plastic, melted plastic blobs off, and that will release here, and then work our way through the well, I replace all the LEDs. I'm not going to muck about. It tends to be the red ones are okay, and it's really only the green ones need replacing. So you could leave the red ones alone, but then you might get something of a brightness mismatch. So let's carefully take these off. Okay. Right, we have this set up with a microscope so we can see what we're doing, and just demonstrate the fault here. So the left, I think the VU meter is fully working on that one, and the right, very few of the green LEDs work. Right, so I'll start with the bottom green, but I'll have to change them all or there'll be a colour mismatch. Now, I did buy, last time I did this, I had LEDs which were different size than what I've got now. So what did I have? 0603 in red and green, but this time I've bought some 0602, so they're smaller. But the great thing about these is it's not because they're smaller I like these, it's because they're yellow-green, they're less green. I think it's a better colour match for the originals. So maybe I'll try those. But they are terribly small and, you know, really very easy to drop and lose. So I'll start by taking the lower 3 LEDs off because they're in triplets. The lower 3 LEDs from the right or lower VU meter. I'm ready to solder the first LED in of the new type, which is that way round. I don't know if you can see that the cathode, which is marked green on the new LED, is to the right. And I probably don't need to go into the full detail of doing this entire process again because you will have seen my previous video on it. I'm going to start with not the very first LED because that's a somewhat harder one. It's narrower between the pads. So I'll start here just to get some practice with this type of LED. I may have lost that LED, and this is a thing that happens. You do lose some. Oh, what a nuisance. Okay, I had this board at a bit of a slope, so there was a tendency for it to slide off, and it did. I don't think I'm going to find that one. Let's get another one. Let that be the last one we lose, shall we? Oh dear, well, on testing that, I found a short circuit, so presumably I've managed to short circuit the land underneath. So even though it looks good, it's not good, and I'm going to have to take it off and try again. Right, that's good. I'll do the next two, and then we can test at least those few and carry on from there. Okay, on this particular LED, I couldn't measure a forward voltage drop, and I couldn't get it to light on the from the multimeter, but that doesn't indicate a fault. Not all positions will illuminate, so switch off the microscope light, power it up, and see if we can get the first positions to operate on the bottom meter. Well, the first LED's working, so yes, they're working. And there's the top one. I seem to have broken the top one. I think I may have broken an LED on the top one somewhere. So I may have to replace the red ones after all. But let's just carry on. We're making progress, I think. Okay, so that's another 3 LEDs done. So let's just check that they work. We seem to have knocked out all the green ones from the top, but never mind. I'm going to replace them all anyway. So we'll carry on. We've got another 3 green on this side, plus the red. Yes, looks like I'm going to have to replace the red. Okay, so I should now have all of the left channel green LEDs done. Yeah, good. I think I'll do the other channels green LEDs, and then we'll worry about the red ones. Okay, that's them all fitted. Let's test them. Oh yes, good. And I did that all with, I dropped and lost 1 green, and I broke 1 red. But that's not bad going. Okay, just pop this back on, just to see what it looks like. I think the greens are quite good, but I think the red's going to be too bright. So we're going to have to do something to tame down the brightness a little bit. What I did last time was put some black marker pen on the LEDs. I think I'll do the reds and the greens. They're all a little bit too bright. So I put a bit of black marker pen on the LEDs and then see if the brightness levels look about right. A little bit more muted. Yeah, I think that's quite good. The reds are a little bit bright. The greens are certainly about right. Okay, so the VU meters are working, and I've been playing with the headphone control. It works. I mean, at minimum, there's nothing, and you turn it up, and you get the tone, or the tones, because 1 kHz and 2 kHz. It's louder on the SL HF100s I have downstairs, but that may not be a fault. That might just be the way this machine is. It doesn't have incredibly high levels on the headphone socket. So I'm probably going to leave that alone. Where I do have a problem is I still need the control knob for the front of this. Right, so the next thing I think we need to look at is preset tracking. So we'll look at the service manual for the regular HF100 and see where the preset tracking control is. It's going to be, if you follow this wiring back, it's going to be back in that area. Looking at the service manual for the regular SL HF100, the SS28 board lives under here, and it has a preset tracking control, RV305. None of that may be true for this model, but we can only have a look. Okay, it's a little hard to get to, but this one here, TRCN, that's the tracking centering control, I believe. So I need to adjust that very slightly to recenter the tracking, which is going to be a little bit fiddly with all these boards flapping about. It's so awkward, I've decided to adjust it and try it. rather than adjust it when the machine's running, because I don't want any of these boards to touch anything. Especially with all the bodge wires and stuff in here, there's a lot that could go wrong. So let's see if the tracking is centered better or worse now. Okay, I've made that final adjustment now on the tracking centering control. In fact, the amount of adjustment required on it was really tiny, but just enough that it centers better on tapes from itself and also from other machines. This was recorded on a Sony SLC9, and it's centered nicely. That's to one extreme of the tracking, that's the middle, and that's the other extreme. And eventually starts to roll, which is typical of Sony betas. So we have solved the tracking, and also you can see the alignment's good. It's a nice clean image all the way down to the top and bottom of the picture. So tracking is good, the audio is good, the meters are good, the headphone volume is good enough. Is there any more to do? I think we've more or less got this machine where we want it. Okay, I think we're more or less done here. I am still a little disappointed with the audio level, but I don't think it's a fault. I think that's just the audio level they've set. Because the control works, it goes down to 0 and it goes up to higher, I don't believe the fault is in here. So it may just be that this particular unit has a lower output from the headphone socket for some reason to do with it being a duplicator. Right, I'm also wondering about the brightness on these LEDs. Is it too high? Let's just check that. Right, I'll switch all these to the lower position. One of them switches them off. Right, now switch that back on again. Are they too bright? I did put some film, some neutral density film between the front of this and, between these two sections on the SL-HF100 I did, but it kind of masks the segments. You can't see them anymore. But maybe, let me try this. This is a bit of film actually that came from as part of a screen protector for a Samsung phone. It just happens to be about the right size. I'm going to cut a slice of that, pop it into place, and just see what it looks like. Okay, I fitted that in place with a bit of my PVA tacky glue. I used that last time on the other machine that I rebuilt the VU meters on. That stuff is also good for fixing speakers. Right, let's see what it looks like, both in the on and off condition. Yeah, so in the off condition it just looks a bit slightly wrong, but in the on condition, on the right switch, looks really quite nice. Yes, I'm going to leave that in there. I like that. The brightness is right. I know that when you switch the meter off you can't see the segments quite so clearly, but nonetheless they're normally switched on and it does look just the right level. Right, I'm going to reassemble the rest of the cabinet now. The only thing of course missing is a headphone volume control, which I've set to maximum because it's not very high anyway. But if anyone has one of those from a scrap machine or something that will physically fit there, I'd really like that just to make it cosmetically a little nicer. One of the feet's missing from here, so I've taken one off the scrap SL-HF100 and I think it just pushes on and hopefully will stay on. Oh yes, okay, it's a bit like those panel clips you get in a car. So these prongs are pushed out when you push this in. Right, and then that should hold it in place. Good. Now it won't rock around. That's nice. I'm going to do just a little bit of gentle polishing of the plastic to take some of the scratches out. There's a lot of scratches all the way over everything. Well, this is metal of course, but you've got to be careful because you can start taking labels off and taking text off. But I think we can just go gently and take out a little bit of the scratchiness. Okay, I don't go any more than that. I can tell this is painted. and I can't go any deeper. There's some really deep scratches all the way along here. Not that surprising given that it was an industrial machine. Okay, I think that's come out fairly well. Just needs that control ideally. No one's been able to answer the question yet, and I think it's because there isn't an answer, as to what these buttons do. And I suspect they just didn't take them out of the design for the SL-HF100. It was easier just to leave them in, so I believe those buttons are non-functional. But this part they did somewhat re-engineer. Right, I hope you've enjoyed us working on this SL-HF100P, P for printer, the rare duplicator version of the SL-HF100. I've certainly enjoyed bringing this one back from the dead, and it's a very rare piece of equipment. So I can use it for transferring beta tapes, of course, and including Beta HiFi ones, but I'm not going to put too many hours on it because it's such a rare beast. That didn't go so well. What just happened? It just got jammed when I hit eject. What happened then? Did I assemble something wrong? Again? Yeah, something's jamming up there. Okay, take the lid off and find out what's happened. What do you think? Have I misassembled something or something broken? What do you reckon? Certainly on some machines, but I wasn't aware it was this one. You need to take the... Oops. You need to open the door here before you fit it to the front of the machine. Maybe I've made a mistake around that. I think that's it. I think that's all there is wrong. Now if I hit eject, hopefully the door will open. Oh, still got stuck. Well, it did a lot better. Take the front off completely. We've got ourselves into a situation where it won't go up or down now. What is going on here? That's not right at all. Oh dear. Ah, maybe it's back in sequence now. Okay. I think we've untangled that mess. I'll reassemble it and test it with the cabinet on. Regarding fitting those LEDs, I like the fact that in the 0602 size I was able to get the sort of yellow-green rather than the slightly brighter green that I had in the 0603 style LEDs. I think they may have been slightly easier to fit too, so I'd probably recommend you get those, but I did have to order them from China, which took a little while. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done here today. I've really enjoyed bringing back this quite rare machine. I'll do plenty more content on audio and video technology in the near future. Bye for now. if you know your Betamax machines, you'll know that for the PAL market, there's one particular video recorder that these tapes are especially aimed at. It's been on my bucket list for about the last 40 years.